The average mind wants quick, loud, flashy. But wealth answers to calm, consistent, invisible. It's not what you do once that makes you rich. It's what you repeat in silence when no one is watching. So, let's take a walk through the simple steps. The ones that don't make headlines but quietly build empires. The ones that turn minimum wage into maximum results. Because if you can master the basics, the extraordinary will take care of itself. Let's begin. Let me tell you something that changed the direction of my life. Discipline is the bridge between desire and financial reality. Now, I've met thousands of people over the years, bright people, talented people, well-intentioned people who all said they wanted to be wealthy. They said it with conviction, they dreamed big, they wrote it down on their goal cards. But wanting and becoming are two very different things. Between the wish and the result, there must be structure. And that structure is built with discipline. See, everyone desires the good life. That's not rare. What's rare is the person who's willing to do what the good life demands. Not for a week, not when it's convenient, but consistently, daily, quietly, when nobody's watching. The world doesn't pay you for potential. It pays you for performance. And performance is built in the silent hours through small acts of discipline. When I was just getting started, I had big desires too. I wanted a better house, nicer clothes, more freedom. But you know what I realized? Life doesn't respond to your wants. It responds to your habits. I wanted to be rich, but my habits belonged to someone broke spending every dollar I earned, avoiding books, procrastinating on things that mattered. And I'll tell you this, nothing changed for me until I started changing what I did on a daily basis. Discipline begins with the small things. Saving 10% before you spend a dime, reading 10 pages before you turn on the television. Saying no to the extra coffee, the impulse gadget, the shiny distraction. These things seem insignificant on their own, but compounded over months and years, they form the foundation of wealth. Let me give you a simple truth. If your daily habits don't look like wealth, don't expect your bank account to. We all love the idea of financial freedom, but financial freedom is built by people who are willing to delay gratification. That means choosing growth over comfort. It means saying, I'll drive this car a little longer, or I'll wait on that vacation until I've built a financial cushion, or I'll invest this money instead of spending it. Discipline is also about consistency. It's not about perfection. It's about doing the right thing long enough for it to start working. The first few months you budget, it might feel like nothing's happening. The first few times you put money into your investment account, the number might look too small to matter. But stay with it. The magic is in the repetition. Wealth responds to rhythm. Save, invest, grow. You do that long enough and one day people will ask how you got so lucky. And you'll smile because you'll know luck had nothing to do with it. When I started to change, I made myself a little checklist each day. Read, save, reflect, serve, and I held myself to it. Not because I always felt like it, but because I understood what was at stake. Discipline doesn't care about how you feel today. It only cares about whether you show up. The gym, the budget, the study time showing up is how you prove to your future self that you're serious. Now let's talk about financial discipline specifically. We're living in a culture of spend first, regret later. That's why the shelves are full, but the savings accounts are empty. The wealthy don't live that way. They control their desires instead of letting desires control them. They don't let emotions drive their purchases. They buy when it's wise, not when it's tempting. That kind of self-command comes from discipline. Even debt can be a teacher. I've been in debt before, not because I didn't earn, but because I didn't manage. And the pain of that taught me a powerful truth. Interest works for you when you invest and against you when you owe. One of the most disciplined decisions you can make is to live within your means. Better to drive an average car with peace than a luxury car with panic. Better to walk in freedom than run in circles. And here's what else discipline gives you confidence. When you know you've done what's right, when your habits line up with your vision, When your behavior matches your values, you walk differently. You speak differently. You're not waiting on the economy to change or the government to rescue you. You've become the kind of person who can create wealth no matter the season. That's power. That's freedom. And that's what discipline gives you. So, if there's one habit to build first on your journey to wealth, let it be discipline. Because without discipline, desire stays a dream. But with it, you can turn even a small income into great fortune over time. Discipline is the bridging. The only way to cross is to take that first step and then the next. Every day, every dollar, every decision. The secret to wealth is not in wishing, it's in working with discipline until your desires become your reality. You know, the great mistake most people make on the road to financial success is assuming that they need to earn more to get ahead. They think the key is in the next raise, the next big deal, or the next opportunity. But wealth doesn't begin with income, it begins with behavior. The real secret? Spend less than you earn and then invest the difference. That's it. Simple, but not easy. Because what's simple to understand is often the hardest to do consistently. See, when I first started learning the principles of wealth, I didn't have a big income. I was struggling, trying to make ends meet. But I met a man who told me something that shifted my thinking forever. He said, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep and what you do with what you keep. That stuck with me, because back then, I wasn't keeping anything. My money came in one door and sprinted out the other. I was a master at spending and a beginner at building. I started with a basic principle, live on 70% of what you make. Save 10%, invest 10%, give 10%. That formula changed my life. I didn't have to wait to become rich before I started building wealth. I just had to be faithful with what I had. And the truth is, if you can't manage a small income wisely, you won't manage a large one any better. Money only makes you more of what you already are. Spending less than you earn is a mindset. It's choosing future freedom over current flair. It's learning to say, I don't need that right now. So you can one day say, I can afford anything I want. Most people live to impress others. They buy clothes they can't afford, cars they don't need, and gadgets that lose value the minute they leave the store, all in an attempt to look wealthy. But remember this, most people who look rich are broke, and most people who are truly rich don't need to prove it. When you begin to live below your means, you gain control. You remove the pressure. You stop living from paycheck to paycheck, and you create space to think, to plan, to grow. That margin is what allows you to invest. And investing is what turns small habits into big results. Every dollar you invest is a little employee working for your future. And the sooner you start, the harder those dollars work, thanks to the magic of compound interest. Now, this doesn't mean you can't enjoy your money. Of course you can. But enjoyment comes from wisdom, not from impulse. When you spend money with intention, you get more satisfaction. When you invest with vision, you build more than a lifestyle. You build a legacy. Let me give you an example. I once worked with a young man who made an average salary but had above average discipline. He drove a modest car, rented a small apartment, and ate most of his meals at home. But every month, without fail, he invested 20% of his income. Over the years, that consistency turned into a portfolio worth more than many people who made twice as much but spent every dime. His friends laughed at him early on. They don't laugh anymore. Wealth is not built in big leaps. It's built in small steps repeated faithfully. Spending less than you earn gives you the first building block. Investing the difference gives you the second. And when you do that long enough, the result is inevitable. You wake up one day not stressed about bills, not dependent on a job you hate, but free financially and mentally. That's what wealth really buys. Freedom, options, peace of mind. You'll hear people say they just can't save or invest because they don't make enough. But here's the hard truth. The problem isn't income, it's lifestyle. And lifestyle is a choice. You can choose to simplify, you can choose to delay, you can choose to build. But you've got to be honest with yourself. Look at your spending and ask, is this helping me build the life I want, or is it just helping me survive another week? So if you want to start building wealth, don't wait for your income to rise. Start with what you have. Create a gap between your income and your expenses. Guard that gap like your future depends on it, because it does. Then invest the gap, grow the gap, and eventually the gap becomes your wealth. Discipline, simplicity, and consistency, those are the tools. Spend less than you earn and invest the rest. Do that long enough, and wealth doesn't become a question, it becomes a certainty. Let me share something I learned. The hard way money doesn't just grow through addition, it grows through subtraction. It's not just about how much you earn or how much you invest, it's also about how much you keep from slipping through the cracks. And here's the truth. Most people don't lose wealth because of one big expense. They lose it through 100 little leaks that go unnoticed, unchecked, and unaddressed. That's why I recommend something simple, powerful, and often overlooked. Every 90 days, audit your financial leaks. Every quarter, sit down with your numbers like a business owner sits down with their books. Because whether you believe it or not, your personal finances are your business. If your bank account were a bucket, your goal isn't just to fill it with more water. It's to patch the holes. Otherwise, no matter how much you pour in, it'll keep draining out. And that's what happens to most people. They're earning more, working harder, but their money never seems to stick around. That's a symptom of unseen leakage. Start with subscriptions. These are the silent assassins of wealth. I can't tell you how many people I've met paying for 5 streaming services, 4 fitness apps, and 6 tools they don't even use anymore. One by one, these things add up not just in dollars, but in distraction. If something isn't actively contributing to your growth, your peace, or your productivity, cancel it. No guilt, no drama, just clean it out. Next, look at unused services. Maybe you signed up for a membership when motivation was high and never used it. Or perhaps there's insurance you don't need, or phone plans with features you never touch. When I first did this audit years ago, I found I was spending more to protect things I no longer even owned. That's the danger of setting. And forgetting it turns financial stewardship into financial waste. Then tackle high-interest debt. Take a magnifying glass to any revolving balances. Interest is the tax you pay for not paying attention. If your money is serving a lender more than it's serving you, that's a leak. Whether it's a credit card with 24% interest or a forgotten personal loan draining you monthly, it's your responsibility to face it. Ignorance doesn't protect you. Action does. And every 90 days, you get the chance to confront what's costing you most. Now let's talk spending habits. This is the deepest layer of the audit because it requires honesty. Look at your bank statements, your receipts, your transactions. What patterns do you see? Are you rewarding yourself a little too often? Are you treating stress with spending? Are your daily purchases aligned with your long-term goals? When I started doing quarterly audits, I noticed I'd slowly slipped into habits I thought I had already outgrown. A few coffees here, an extra dinner out there. It wasn't about the dollar amount, it was about the drift. And if you don't correct the drift, you'll end up far from where you intended to go. Remember, every leak you plug strengthens your foundation. It gives your savings a chance to breathe. It gives your investments more room to grow. Most importantly, it sharpens your financial awareness. And awareness is the beginning of control. Once you know where your money is going, you can start telling it where to go instead of asking where it went. You don't need a fancy app to do this. Just sit down with your bank statements, your bills, and your mind clear. Ask yourself, is this helping me build the life I want? Or is this just clutter I've gotten used to? Circle what needs to go. Highlight what needs to change. And commit to doing it every 90 days. Why quarterly? Because it's long enough for habits to creep in, but short enough to correct course before real damage is done. I've watched people earn 6 figures and stay broke. And I've watched others earn modest incomes and become wealthy because the second group paid attention. They treated their finances like something sacred. And every 90 days, they checked the walls for cracks. Not because they were paranoid, but because they were responsible. So the next time you're looking to grow wealth, don't just think about earning more or investing smarter. Think about leak prevention, because a bucket that leaks will never overflow. But a bucket that's sealed, protected, and filled consistently, that's a vessel for abundance. Wealth isn't just about what flows in it, it's about what stays in. And the disciplined are the ones who get to keep what they build. You see, when it comes to building wealth, most people lose the race before they even start, not because they lack intelligence or desire, but because they lack clarity. They want more money, more success, more freedom, but they haven't taken the time to define what that actually looks like in practice. The mind needs a target. It needs a reason to focus. And that's why I always recommend this powerful little exercise. Set a 90-day money goal and stay focused on it like your future depends on it. Because it does. Now, I'm not talking about vague wishes. I want to be rich someday is a nice thought, but it's not a goal. I'd like to save more money is a good idea, but it won't keep you up at night or pull you out of bed in the morning. No, I'm talking about something precise, something simple, something measurable. Maybe it's, I will save $1,000 in the next 90 days. Maybe it's, I will earn an extra $3. Oh, zero through a weekend side hustle. Or, I will pay off one credit card in full. That's the kind of clarity that sets the wheels in motion. You don't need to change your entire financial life in 3 months. You just need one solid win, one clear victory. And that's what a 90-day goal gives you. It creates urgency without overwhelm. It gives you enough time to stretch and grow, but not so much time that you procrastinate. The clock is ticking, and the mind responds to that. When you commit to one target, everything else gets sharper. Your energy aligns, your habits shift. You begin to see what matters and, just as importantly, what doesn't. So how do you actually reach that goal? You break it down, you take your big 90-day mountain and carve it into monthly, weekly, and daily steps. If your goal is to save $1,000 in 90 days, that's about $334 a month, roughly $83 a week, around $12 a day. Suddenly, it's not so overwhelming, is it? Now you're asking yourself better questions. How can I find $12 of waste to cut today? How can I make an extra $83 this week? The mind loves specifics. The moment you give it a number, it starts working on the how. And this is where discipline comes in. Because you don't hit the goal in one big leap, you hit it through small actions done repeatedly, even when you don't feel like it. Success is not the product of occasional intensity. It's the result of consistent discipline. I remember when I had to build momentum from nothing. I didn't have a big business or fancy degrees, but I had a journal, a calculator, and a goal. I tracked every dollar, I made the calls, I skipped the impulse purchases, and over time, the momentum grew. My first win built confidence for the next one. And before I knew it, I wasn't just chasing success, I was living it. And here's something I've learned along the way. Motivation fades, but tracking keeps you in the game. Put that goal somewhere visible. Write it on your mirror. Keep a whiteboard in your office. Use a habit tracker or a notebook to record every small win. Don't wait for the feeling to do the worklet. The work create the feeling. Every time you hit a weekly milestone, celebrate it. Every dollar saved or earned toward that goal is a vote for the future you're building. Let's not forget the power of review. Every week, set aside just 10 minutes to review your progress. Ask yourself, what worked? What didn't? What can I adjust? This keeps you from drifting. It brings your intention back to the surface. It keeps your eyes on the prize and your hands on the wheel. And if you mess up one day, fine. Don't beat yourself up. Get back on track the next day. The goal doesn't demand perfection, it demands consistency. And here's why this works. Clarity creates confidence, and confidence builds momentum. When you hit that 90-day target, whether it's saving, earning, or eliminating debt, you don't just improve your financial position, you change your identity. You become someone who follows through, someone who takes control, someone who doesn't just talk about building wealth, but actually does it. So don't try to fix everything at once. Choose one financial goal for the next 90 days, break it down into daily action, track your progress, review each week, and celebrate the wins. Stack the discipline, stack the belief, and watch how quickly your financial reality begins to shift. One win leads to another, and before long, you're not chasing wealth, you're building it. You can either build a future or build a story about why you can't, but you can't do both. And the longer you choose the story, the further you drift from the strategy that could have changed your life. That's the quiet danger of excuses. They don't just delay your success, they replace it. Excuses are the language of financial failure. They sound intelligent, they feel justified, and they let you off the hook in the short term. But they rob you of your power, your progress, and your potential in the long run. I've heard all kinds of excuses over the years. I didn't grow up with money. The government doesn't care about people like me. The market's just not right. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have time. And the list goes on. Now, I'm not saying your challenges aren't real. Life hands us all different cards. Some of us start with less, face more, and carry heavier burdens. But here's what separates the wealthy. From the wishful, they take ownership anyway. They may not have created the problem, but they make themselves responsible for the solution. You see, when you blame the economy, the government, your parents, or your past you, hand them the pen and let them write your financial future. But when you say, "This is mine to fix," something powerful happens. You stop waiting. You stop wishing. You start working. The mindset shifts from complaint to commitment, from helplessness to problem solving. That's when real wealth begins, when you stop making excuses and start making decisions. I remember early on, when I was broke and discouraged, I caught myself constantly explaining why things weren't working. I had a story for everything, a reason why I couldn't save, why I wasn't growing, why others had it easier. One day, someone looked me in the eye and said, "You've got a great excuse, but you still don't have the result." That hit me like a hammer. I realized I had become eloquent in failure, fluent in justification, and broke in reality. That day, I made a shift. I told myself, no more excuses, only action. And I'll tell you, my results didn't change overnight, but my direction did. I started replacing excuses with strategies. I can't afford it became, how can I afford it? I don't have time became, what can I eliminate to make time? I don't know how became, who can I learn from? That kind of language pulls you forward. It opens doors, it builds capability, because the mind will believe whatever you feed it. If you feed it excuses, it will find limitations. If you feed it strategies, it will find solutions. Every time you say, "It's not my fault," you give your power away. But every time you say, "It's my responsibility," you get your power back. That's the secret the wealthy understand. They've mastered the art of owning everything, especially their mistakes. When they fail, they don't hide behind stories. They look in the mirror and ask, "What can I do better next time?" That level of honesty doesn't just build wealth, it builds character. And wealth built on character has roots that can weather any storm. So the next time you catch yourself making an excuse, stop. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding by saying this? What would a responsible person do next? Speak in solutions, not complaints. Speak in commitment, not confusion. Speak as if your words are steering your future, because they are. Excuses may sound good for a moment, but they won't build you a life worth living. Speak power. Speak ownership. Speak wealth into motion. There's a powerful truth that often goes unnoticed when it comes to building wealth. Teaching what you learn is one of the most effective ways to deepen your own understanding and solidify your path to success. It's easy to think that wealth comes only from accumulating knowledge or stacking dollars. But true financial growth happens when knowledge becomes part of who you are. And teaching is the bridge that transforms information into identity. When you take the time to explain a principle to someone else, something remarkable happens inside your mind. The vague ideas you once skimmed over turn into clear, actionable insights. You're forced to organize your thoughts, to clarify concepts, and to ask yourself, do I really understand this well enough to teach it? This mental sharpening creates confidence. Confidence, not just in your knowledge, but in your ability to apply it and grow from it. It's a cycle of learning, teaching, and growing that builds momentum over time. I remember early in my journey, I started sharing what little I knew about money management with friends and family. It wasn't because I was an expert, far from it, but because teaching gave me a reason to study more deeply, to prepare better, and to reflect on my own habits. Each conversation was a lesson to me as much as it was to them. And as I spoke, I noticed my mindset shifting. The principles I taught weren't just abstract ideas anymore. They became guiding truths that shaped how I handled my finances daily. Teaching also creates accountability. When you commit to sharing your knowledge, you commit to living by it. You can't preach habits you don't practice. The responsibility of guiding others forces you to walk the talk. This alignment between words and actions is where true wealth thinking lives. People can spot a phony a mile away, but when your life reflects your lessons, you become a magnet for opportunity and influence. Beyond the personal benefits, teaching wealth principles creates a ripple effect. The knowledge you share multiplies as it passes from person to person, expanding the circle of financial wisdom. You might teach your children the value of saving and budgeting, helping them avoid mistakes you made. You might mentor a coworker or friend struggling with debt, offering them a path out. The more you give, the more you receive, just in dollars, but in trust, respect, and a growing network of like-minded individuals. What's more, teaching taps into a fundamental human need to feel useful, to contribute, and to belong. It's one thing to hoard knowledge for yourself, but it's another to empower others. Wealth built in isolation is fragile, but wealth shared and multiplied builds lasting legacies. When you teach, you build community. You build relationships. And these connections often lead to new opportunities, partnerships, and insights you might never have found alone. So, make it a habit to share what you learn about money and success. Talk to your spouse about budgeting. Discuss investing with a friend. Volunteer to lead a financial literacy group at work. Each time you explain a concept, you anchor it deeper into your own thinking and invite abundance to flow back to you. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates wealth. The path to riches is not a solo journey. It's one walked together with knowledge shared, questions asked, and lessons taught. When you teach, you're not just passing on information, you're building the foundation of your own financial future. We all know the feeling, that surge of excitement when we decide to change our financial future. Maybe it's the start of a new year, a fresh paycheck, or hearing a motivational story that sparks a fire in us. But as familiar as that spark is, what often follows is disappointment. The enthusiasm fades, the new habits slip away, and before long we're back where we started. Why does this happen? Because wealth, like any meaningful achievement, is not the product of a single moment of inspiration. It's the outcome of consistent, daily action, the quiet rituals we perform long after the spotlight has moved on. Consistency is the secret that separates those who dream of wealth from those who build it. When you look at the lives of successful people, you find not dramatic, once-in-a-lifetime efforts, but steady, small actions repeated over time. It's the disciplined saver who deposits money every week, the learner who reads a little each day, the investor who adds to their portfolio steadily regardless of market noise. These rituals create momentum, and momentum compounds like interest in the bank, slow at first, but unstoppable over time. I learned this lesson early on in my own journey. There were times when I tried to overhaul everything at once, cutting expenses drastically, chasing every new opportunity, reading stacks of books overnight. But the real breakthroughs came when I slowed down and committed to simple, repeatable habits. Saving a fixed amount each month, dedicating 30 minutes every day to study, reviewing my goals weekly, these small but consistent disciplines form the backbone of my financial growth. The psychology behind consistency is powerful. Our brains crave routine because it reduces friction and decision fatigue. When you create rituals around your money like setting aside savings automatically or scheduling a daily reading time, it becomes easier to maintain your focus and stay on track. Motivation is fickle, but habit is dependable. When motivation wanes, your rituals carry you forward, ensuring progress even on days when you feel uninspired. This is why many people struggle with wealth building. They rely too heavily on motivation alone. They start strong, fueled by enthusiasm, but when life gets busy or obstacles arise, the energy fades. They forget that real wealth isn't about grand gestures, but about the mundane tasks done day after day. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it. Think of wealth building like planting a tree. You don't expect the giant oak to grow overnight from a seed. You water it regularly, nurture it through every season, and trust that over time it will grow strong and tall. Your financial habits are the watering can. Your patience and persistence are the sunlight. Together they create an environment where your wealth can flourish. So commit to your rituals. Write down your financial goals and review them daily. Automate your savings and investing. Set a specific time each day for learning about money. Celebrate the small wins, knowing they add up to a big future. Remember, wealth is less about moments of brilliance and more about moments of discipline repeated consistently. The truth is simple. Consistency is the quiet force that turns dreams into dollars and visions into value. It's the secret most overlooked, but the foundation every wealthy person knows. If you want to grow rich, don't chase fleeting motivation, build unshakable rituals. That is the way to lasting financial success. As we come to the close of this conversation about wealth, remember this: the journey to financial freedom is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not defined by sudden windfalls or lucky breaks, but by the daily decisions you make, the habits you build, and the mindset you cultivate. Wealth is the natural byproduct of discipline, patience, and persistent action. If you want to change your financial story, it begins with changing what you do every single day. Think about the great oak tree. It didn't grow overnight. It grew because it stood firm through every season, rain or shine. Your financial future is no different. Each dollar saved, each moment spent learning, each wise choice made compounds over time, creating strength and stability that can weather any storm. Don't underestimate the power of small, consistent steps. They may seem insignificant at first, but they build a foundation that can support a life of abundance. You have the power to choose today to commit to your goals, to act with purpose, and to take responsibility for your financial destiny. The excuses that hold you back, the doubts that cloud your mind, these are the voices of limitation. Replace them with clarity and commitment. Tell yourself, this is on me, I will take control. That mindset is the gateway to freedom. Now don't wait for the perfect moment, it may never come. Start where you are with what you have. Pick one habit to develop, one goal to pursue, one lesson to apply. Maybe it's saving a small amount weekly. Maybe it's reading a financial book this month. Maybe it's tracking every expense for a week. Whatever it is, do it consistently. Build on that success. Let your progress inspire you, and let that inspiration fuel your next step. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who inspire you to be better. Wealth is not built in isolation, it's nurtured in community. Share what you learn, teach what you know, and invite others on this journey with you. Together, you can build a circle of influence that multiplies success. Remember, wealth is not just about money, it's about freedom. Freedom to live life on your terms. Freedom to give generously. Freedom to pursue your passions without worry. And that freedom begins with the choices you make today. So I challenge you, commit right now. Commit to the disciplines that will carry you forward. Commit to learning, to saving, to investing, and to growing. Don't let another day pass without taking a step toward your financial future. Your destiny is waiting, and it belongs to those who take action. Go forward with clarity, courage, and consistency. Build your wealth not just for yourself, but for the legacy you will leave behind. The time to act is now. Your future self will thank you for the choices you make today.